All right, guys. So we'll just get started. So I'll just introduce myself. So I'm Zaina. I'm a psychologist at MindTribe, and a little bit about what I specialize in in terms of mental health issues is any emotional or mood disorders such as depression, anxiety, right? Things like that. Any relationship issues that individuals are going through, I can help with those as well, and also maintaining that a healthy work-life balance, kind of dealing with stress. Those issues are also part of my domain. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Now I will hand it over to our co-host, Claren. You can just introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Claren Alice. I'm a junior psychologist at MindTribe. My specializations are depression, stress, anxiety, and workplace issues. And yeah, really glad to be part of this workshop, and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Claren. Okay, guys, so we will just get started. Before we do, there are just a few ground rules that you guys have to keep in mind. The first one being that, please keep your video switched off, right? And keep your, mics muted. If you do want to speak up or there's something that you would like to share, you can raise your hand and then I will, call upon you and you can unmute. Or you can also, feel free to use the chat box at any moment. And then if in case I am a little busy during the workshop, then our co-host client will also try and respond to you in the chat. All right. If there's any pressing long question or something that you would like to ask, you can ask me at the end once we're done with the workshop material. All right. And other than that, try and maintain everyone's privacy, maintain respect, right? Because people are just here to share some of their problems, so maintain that respect. And nothing, no hostility. We're all just here to learn a little something new to kind of help us overall in our well-being, right? Okay, and no screen recording, no taking pictures of any of the material that is being shared with you, because it's all copyright of MindTribe, so it's all MindTribe's property. Okay. All right, guys. So now let's just get into it. Before we get started, we just have a small, sleep and anger checklist just to kind of get you guys thinking about, how your sleep is, how your anger levels are. All right. So I'll just read out these questions and you guys can respond with thumbs ups and, thumbs downs, depending on whether it's a yes or no. Okay. So the first one is, do you use electronics right before bed? Okay, so I see a lot of yeses. Yeah. Okay. The next one is, do you eat, watch TV, or work in your bed? Okay. Again, I see quite a few yeses. Okay, a few no's as well. Okay. The next one is, do you exercise 1 to 2 hours before bedtime? Okay. Everyone says no. Majority says no. Okay. Do you sleep at different times every day? Okay. A few say yes and a few say no. Okay, guys. Do you drink caffeinated drinks or alcohol before sleeping? Okay, majority is saying no. Do you do relaxing activities before you sleep? Okay, it's no. Okay, do you sleep with a lot of environmental disturbances such as noise, lights? Okay, majority is a no. Do you nap very frequently throughout the day? Okay. So now moving on to the anger checklist, right? Do you often feel angry? Okay. Do you kick or punch things or people when you're angry? Okay, so a bit of a mixed response. Do you say mean things when you're angry? Okay. Do you feel like destroying things in anger? Okay. Do you have a bad temper? Okay, now we're coming towards the end. So do you shout, scream when you are angry? Do you let everything out when you're angry? Do you keep calm and are you in control when in anger? Okay. Do you hurt yourself in the process of letting go of your anger? All right, guys. So this is just a small, checklist just to get you guys, to just get that awareness of, your sleeping behaviors and also your anger, your behaviors when you're angry and what you kind of tend to do. It's just to get that, grounding or that baseline to see how your sleep is and how your anger is. All right. So now, what today's workshop will be covering is, first of all, we'll be talking a little bit about the details of sleep and anger, right? The concepts and the relationship between them. Then we'll be moving on to effect of sleep and anger. So, how an individual's life can be impacted by, both sleep and anger. And then we'll be closing off with, a few techniques on how to improve our sleep anger cycle. Okay. So first of all, before we dive into defining sleep and anger, what do you guys like for you? What does sleep and anger mean to you guys? If anyone would like to speak up, you can, or else you can drop it in the chat box as well.
Sleep means a process to give rest to our mind,
Yes, all right.
and anger means it when something doesn't go with according to you, you have that temptation or that adrenaline rush in your mind, fear, fight, and flight,
Mm-hmm.
and you throw things or say something which is not appropriate at that moment.
You're right. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Manali, for sharing. Would anyone else like to share? Okay. There are a few responses in the chat. Sleep is a relaxing and anger is what drives us. All right. Janvi says sometimes we fight with someone and sleep with anger. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you guys for sharing, right? What you guys mean by sleep and anger. Now let's move ahead. So now when we have to define sleep and anger, right? So sleep is normal process that allows the body and mind to kind of rest and also reset, right? It is a state where there's reduced physical and mental activity, right? And well known as the circadian rhythm, sleep cycle is divided into 4 stages, right? So that is essentially what sleep is. It's basically a resting, phase of, let's say, maybe an individual's day, right? And then anger is one of the basic human emotions. It is characterized, by antagonism or hostility towards someone or something that you feel has deliberately done you wrong or has done you some form of harm, right? So that's essentially the most, basic summary of what sleep is and what anger is. So now when we're diving more deeper into sleep and what it, involves. So the first question comes is, why do we sleep, right? So sleep isn't just switching off, it's an active, complex process that supports almost every system in the body and brain, right? And the main functions it involves is, first is brain restoration and memory consolidation. So during sleep, especially deep and REM sleep, so REM sleep, the brain processes and stores new information, integrates it with old memories, and clears out metabolic waste, right? And then the second one is energy conservation, right? So during sleep, we lower our metabolism and conserve energy for when we're awake and active. And then third is body repair. So growth hormone release peaks during deep sleep, aiding muscle repair, tissue growth, and even our immune system strengthening, right? So that's why maybe sometimes when we're a little sick or we're down with the fever, we tend to sleep a little more so that we feel a little better, because we kind of let our immune system take control during our sleep to try and get us feeling a little better. Right? And it also helps with emotional regulation. So sleep helps balance mood regulating neurotransmitters and reduces emotional reactivity. Once again, like I mentioned, immune support. So sleep boosts our immune cells and antibodies, helping us to fight any illnesses that we're currently dealing with. Okay, so essentially, you should think of sleep as your body's nightly maintenance shift, cleaning, repairing, restocking, and reorganizing, essentially. Right. Now, when we talk about sleep's stages, so there are various stages. Like I mentioned, there are 4 main stages, and you can also see in this diagram here, these are the 4 stages, right? So sleep cycles through stages they go through different stages in roughly, a 90 to 110-minute loop, okay, across the night. And adults typically have 4 to 6 of these type of cycles, okay. So the first stage is the non-REM sleep, okay, so non-rapid eye movement stage. So this stage, the first one, which is stage N1, light sleep, okay. This is the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Okay, so your muscles tend to relax, your heart rate slows down. However, it's very easy to wake up from this stage. Okay, and then we move on to N2, okay, which is known as light sleep. So this is typically when your body temperature drops, your breathing and heart rate also slows further. Okay, your sleep spindles and K complexes appear in brain activity. Okay, so these are known to be very important for memory consolidation. And then we move on to N3, which is deep sleep, or also known as slow wave sleep. Okay, and what this is characteristic of is that it's most restorative stage for the body. Okay, growth hormone release, cell repair occurs in this stage, and it's the hardest to wake from. Waking can cause grogginess, right? So that's pretty much like, you've just woken up from a really deep sleep, so you will feel a little, swashy. And then final stage is the REM sleep, which is the rapid eye movement one. And this is the most deepest stage of sleep. Brain activity is really high during this time, almost like being awake, but muscles are completely paralyzed, right? Except for breathing and your eyes. So your eyes are rapidly moving. and you're obviously going to continue breathing, but otherwise your other muscles are completely like not working at all, right? And during this stage, this is when your dreams happen. So dreams are most vivid here, and they're most detailed during this stage. And this stage is known to be very important for emotional regulation, for your creativity, and also your learning. Okay. So now, how do we know that we're getting enough sleep and we're getting a good amount of sleep, right? So adequate sleep is not just about quality, but it's also the quantity that matters. So some signs that you should look out for to know that, okay, I am getting enough sleep is: number one, you wake up feeling refreshed without needing multiple alarms. Okay. Number two is you can stay alert and focused during the day without excessive caffeine. Number three is mood is stable. You're not unusually irritable or anxious. Okay. Number four is no frequent nodding off during passive activities. For example, let's say you're reading or you're watching TV and you just doze off. That means that you're probably not getting the right amount of sleep. And the fifth one is reaction time. Okay. Your reaction time, your memory, and also your problem solving needs to feel normal. If you're feeling a little, not your usual self in terms of your memory and your problem solving skills, then probably you would not have had proper sleep that day. Okay. So signs that you are probably sleep deprived. Number one is needing more than 30 minutes to wake up fully in the morning. Okay. Number two is strong afternoon drowsiness. Number three, cravings for high carb or sugary foods. So your body is trying to, gain that boost of energy because you don't have that energy because of not getting enough sleep. Next one is forgetfulness or frequent mistakes. Irritability, low mood, or overreaction to small stresses. Right? And in terms of adequate sleep in adults, it's a rule of thumb for adults. So most need 7 to 9 hours of sleep nightly, right? But individuals' needs kind of vary depending on what you do during the day, right? What people's professions are, what it requires of them, how much energy is required of them. So these hours could vary, but as a rule of thumb or in general, adults do need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Okay, so now when we're talking about anger, right, the first step would be to identify anger. What is anger? So anger isn't always loud or aggressive. Sometimes it can be subtle or internal, right? You can spot it through, so some physical signs of anger would be, increased heart rate, rapid breathing, tense muscles, right? Flushed face, or even, sweating, a bit of shaking or trembling, right? These are some of the physical signs. Now, so anger has emotional signs as well. The first one being feeling irritated, frustrated, resentful, or hostile. Maybe overreacting to small inconveniences, right? Persistent thoughts about being wronged. Okay, those are some of the emotional signs. Now, when we talk about behavioral signs, the first one would be raising your voice, right? A bit of sarcasm, passive-aggressive comments, slamming objects, pacing, or withdrawing from people, right? Interrupting or dominating conversations. These are all some behavioral signs of anger as well. So anger often starts with smaller emotions like, let's say, maybe disappointment, hurt, or fear. So they kind of stem from these, smaller emotions. And spotting those early can also help prevent escalation and help prevent, maybe, drastic consequences of anger. Now, some common causes of anger could be, anger usually arises from a perceived threat, right? Injustice or unmet need. And it can mostly be triggered by external triggers, right? First one being like maybe being treated unfairly or disrespected, conflict with someone, maybe in the family or a colleague, right? And then the third one would be environmental stress. So maybe traffic, noise, some form of delay, right? Those kind of things can also cause anger. Some internal triggers, so maybe unmet expectations of yourself or others, even past trauma or unresolved resentment can also cause a bit of anger. Stress, exhaustion, or physical discomfort can also be a internal trigger of anger. And negative thinking patterns, so thoughts like, oh, they're doing this to try and hurt me, they're doing this to try and harm me. These things can also be the internal trigger of anger. Now, moving on to types of anger. So we psychologists often, classify anger into expression styles or root types. Okay, so a common breakdown for this is on the basis of expression style. The first one would be passive anger. So this is kind of characterized of suppressed feelings, indirect expression, silent treatment, sarcasm. Right, this is all passive anger. Okay, it can lead to resentment or even depression. And then the second one is aggressive anger. So this is basically a very directive form of anger, very direct and often hostile. So, actions such as yelling, and, a lot of physical actions are involved in this anger. It can damage relationships and also escalate conflicts. Okay. Third one is assertive anger. So this is expressed very clearly, respectfully, and focused on problem solving. So this is essentially, in terms of the different types, this is the most constructive style. Okay. Now, when you're classifying anger on the basis of the root cause, the first one would be chronic anger. Now, chronic anger is something which is very long lasting, right? Long lasting resentment or bitterness. So that's a very long term form of anger. The second one is volatile anger. So it's very sudden, very intense bursts, but it quickly fades. Okay. The third one is judgmental anger. So this is anger rooted in moral superiority or criticism. Fourth one is overwhelmed anger. So this is, mainly triggered by feelings where you're unable to cope with a certain feeling. So you're just feeling really overwhelmed, and that's why you feel angry. The fifth one is self-inflicted anger. So this is directed toward oneself over mistakes or guilt that you may be fostering. Okay, so that's just a little bit about anger. We've kind of done a bit of an overview about how to identify anger, what causes anger, and also the different types of angers that can be classified. Okay, so now I would like to hear a little bit about your experiences in regards to your sleep. So would anyone like to share how long does it take for you guys to fall asleep?
Five to 10 minutes.
Okay. Janvi says 1 hour. Okay, Ninit says 5 minutes. Shazeen says immediate. Asha says 10 minutes. All right. Okay. And how long do you actually sleep for? So what is the sleep duration? Okay, Deepika says 1 to 2 hours. Sachita says 8, 5, 6 to 7, 5 to 6, 6 to 7. Okay. 8 hours, 7 hours. All right. Do you wake up in the middle? Okay, Janvi says yes, mostly. The rest say no. Ninat says yes, a lot, approximately at 3 a.m. All right. Sometimes. Okay, guys. Now let's talk about the experience with regards to anger, right? The emotion anger. So how often do you get angry? Maybe in a day. Okay, Rajeshwari says rarely. Rarely. Okay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So the thing is, uh, I I often get angry. I mean, it's not like sometimes, but it literally. I mean, most of the time I experience it actually.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What things usually make you angry? Okay, unfair
If I'm
treatment.
not being treated, yeah, if I'm not being treated well, or if somebody doesn't recognize how hard I really work and they just criticize me for that.
Okay, yes. So a bit of criticism, yes, and lack of acknowledgement. Um, Janvi says, I believe any sort of conflict surrounds us, so that can lead to more low feeling and anger. Okay, yes. All right, guys. And what happens after? After the anger outburst, what are the feelings that you guys feel? Okay, Janvi says crying.
Yeah, I just want to cry, but sometimes I I'm unable to because of the situation that I'm in. I'm in a vulnerable or sometimes I
Right. Okay. I think someone mentioned, yeah, silent irritation. Anything that doesn't fulfill my expectation, doesn't go as I want, just be silent, don't know what to feel and how. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you guys for sharing, your experiences on sleep and anger. Now we will be moving forward on understanding what actually happens to your body, when we sleep, and also what happens to your body when we are angry. All right. So, like I mentioned, right, when you're sleeping, many bodily functions take place, and like I mentioned, the brain helps with the storage of new information. The body engages in a lot of recovery, especially immune system recovery. The body conserves a lot of energy. It also the next day, right? Because if you're nicely rested, then your performance a lot better because you're feeling refreshed. Um, when you're angry, so it is usually characterized by changes that can be felt in terms of physical sensations. So increased heart rate, right, sweating, fidgeting, those kind of things. And some changes can also be seen. Like for example, you will be looking angry, you'll be breathing faster, you'll probably be sweating. Few people get really red in the face, right? So these things can also be so anger may have a lot of physical changes more than sleep. So what influences our sleep quality? So the first thing is our sleeping environment. Okay. So sleeping in a room with, let's say, harsh lights, a lot of electronic devices nearby, loud noises nearby can also maybe kind of reduce our sleep quality. Okay, and also cause difficulties trying to fall asleep, and also maintaining a long duration of consistent sleep. Okay. The second one is an irregular schedule. So sleeping and waking up at different times every day can also create a lot of disturbances in your sleep cycle, and in the long run it will definitely reduce your sleep quality. Okay, because your body just your body likes systems, and they like to follow systems and like a body clock. And if you are changing that body clock every day, then of course the body will get confused, and the sleep hormones such as melatonin and everything, that regulation will also get disturbed, and that's why even your sleep will get disturbed, because your body will be a little confused, like, okay, wait, so today I went to bed at 10, but the next day I'm going to bed at 2 a.m. So like what is going on? So then the body also gets confused, and it just creates a lot of disturbances in maintaining a very healthy sleep. Okay, the third one is sleep disorders. So, some people face a few sleep disorders, maybe as a byproduct of another, mental health issue. So sometimes people face insomnia, sleep apnea, they have a lot of frightening dreams. So they just, keep on waking up in the middle of the night. So having a bit of discontinued sleep is also very characteristic of having a sleep disorder. Okay. Okay. Consumption of too much caffeine and alcohol can also reduce your sleep quality. Even mental and physical health conditions can also somewhat reduce it. So kind of having a check on your physical and mental health can also try and help you achieve a very optimum sleep quality. Okay. Snoring, people who have, who snore a lot, that also reduces sleep quality. And of course, even drugs can reduce your sleep quality, because again, that alters your sleep cycle and it alters your wake and sleep patterns. Okay. So now when we're talking about factors that, impact anger. So there are a lot of factors, right? Especially that maybe stem from your childhood and your upbringing. It can also, be from your past experiences, your current circumstances, current situations that you are in, and even your health and your well-being. Okay, so some examples are, let's say, maybe losing a job, right? Maybe failing at a job or a task, having a really bad day, getting into a conflict with someone, or someone in the family, maybe a colleague, or even just a random stranger as well, right? Being stuck in like really bad traffic can also be one random situation, or even of course loss of a loved one, right? So loss of a loved one doesn't necessarily mean that of course it brings in sadness, but it can also bring in anger, like why me, right? Why did I have to lose my father or my mom? Okay. So now we'll be looking at the relationship between sleep and anger and how they are interconnected, and how they influence one another. So let's say you are getting insufficient sleep. This can give rise to negative changes in overall mood of an individual. Okay. And then what happens is that negative mood and distress leads to even more inadequate amount of sleep. So it kind of creates this vicious cycle. So first, maybe one day you don't get enough sleep. That ruins your mood the next day a little bit, and you're really irritated. And because of that negative mood change, and that distress, you end up again not sleeping properly, and that creates a loop, right, of just really bad sleep and also really bad mood. Okay. So even studies show that poor sleep quality was associated with higher aggression in 80.8% of studies. Okay. So sleep and anger definitely affect each other. So reduced sleep leads to increased irritability and emotional dysregulation, right? Anger and agitation again leads to reduced quality of sleep. So now people with a reduced control over their anger, right, and their aggression, and people who get frustrated very easily, tend to have more superficial sleep. Okay. So essentially, it's really shallow sleep. It's not a healthy amount or adequate amount of sleep with, proper going through the proper 4 stages of sleep. So sometimes that's not the case, especially with people who get angry very easily, right? That's what research shows. So essentially, research shows that individuals who struggle to control aggression or get frustrated easily tend to experience a bad quality sleep, right? It essentially means that they spend less time in that deep restorative stage of sleep, right? In terms of that N3 and REM sleep, they have less of that. Okay. Similarly, when sleep is reduced, whether in duration or quality, it often leads to increased hostility and irritability the next day. Okay, and this again reinforces the cycle where poor emotional regulation affects sleep, and poor sleep essentially intensifies that negative emotion. Okay, so it's not just about, like how long we sleep, but also about the quality of our sleep when it comes to managing anger and also maintaining that emotional balance. Okay, so now impacts of the sleep and anger cycle. So, if you don't get the proper sleep and you have increased anger, right, the vicious cycle that I explained to you, it will also lead to less energy levels. So when we have not slept enough, our energy levels are significantly lower throughout the day. All right. It also leads to reduced productivity, right? So reduced energy and lack of sleep leads to less work being done in your day as well. Okay. It also leads to a lot of irritability, a lot of short temper outbursts, aggressiveness. It reduces, overall positivity in the day. It can also lead to a lot of anxiety and anxious mood, right? And just overall increased negativity throughout the day as well. Now, the impact on mental health. So having a really abrupt sleep and anger cycle can cause depression issues, right? It can cause a collection of mood disorders. It can increase your stress levels, heightened risk of, stress disorders. It can increase anger. It can give rise to anxiety issues, and it can also make you more prone to get other mental health disorders as well. Right. Now, when we talk about the impact of lack of sleep on the body, so lack of sleep affects not only how we feel emotionally, but also how our body functions. So, this diagram shows the complex interaction between sleep and emotions. So, when we sleep, several systems in the brain, like our emotional brain networks, REM sleep mechanisms, and emotional information processing, they tend to work together to regulate mood and restore the mental balance in our brain. So sleep also essentially replenishes energy and alertness. However, when we don't get enough rest, our ability to regulate emotions and cope with stress tends to decrease, right? At the same time, our physiological reactivity, things like, heart rate, stress hormones, and arousal goes up, making us more sensitive and reactive to emotional triggers, right? In short, poor sleep doesn't just, make us tired, it makes us more emotionally vulnerable and less capable of handling everyday stresses. All right. So now again, another cycle of how constant feelings of worry or stress can lead to a lack of sleep. Okay, this leads to tiredness during the day, and then this will again lead to difficulty coping with daily life, right? If you're not refreshed, if you're always tired, then that will lead to grumpiness and also difficulty kind of just doing your everyday tasks, and then that would lead to low self-esteem because you don't even have confidence, because it will lower your confidence, right? If your performance levels reduce, And again, that low self-esteem contributes to the feelings of worry and stress, right? So again, it creates this vicious mental, anxiety cycle as well. Okay. So do you know anyone around you who has these problems, or do you feel you guys go through this? Would anyone like to share?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. I've actually recently I've been going through a lot lately because of some stresses going on at my home. So yeah, I'm facing this issue of lesser sleep. I mean, I hardly sleep for 1 to 2 hours. That too, many nightmares. Actually, uh, very bad nightmares. I can, in my dreams, they actually, I don't know, I've been in loops. I see loops. I run from a particular place, and then I reach somewhere, and then the same thing happens again and again. And I hardly, I don't know, the whole day I feel very tired because I don't have the proper amount of sleep of 6 to 7 hours, or at least for maximum 9 hours of sleep. So yeah, because of that, maybe my anger issues have gone a bit more. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I'm just sharing my point of view.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to share anything? Okay. Uh, Ma'am, sorry, my mic is not working properly, so I speak with chat. So yeah, that's not an issue. Don't worry. I mentioned previously I take things personally. I have managed a lot, but still it happens and anger rises. Can you please guide me? How can I be observer like, looking on top and seeing cars? Right. Yeah, so we will be going into a few techniques to try and help with managing your anger and your sleep. So you can just, wait for that. Anybody else would like to share anything? Okay, guys. So this question pops up like, can this cycle be broken? Can I get out of this, vicious, um, you know, anger and then sleep issues kind of cycle? The answer is yes. The cycle can be broken, and you can have a more healthier life, right? So before we, get into the techniques to try and help with, increase your sleep quality and reduce your anger, would anyone like to share if they've tried anything to kind of reduce their anger and have better sleep? Anything that they feel they're trying to incorporate and they feel like it has helped them a little bit? Okay, Asha says prayer. Yes. Listening to calming music. All right, guys. So now we'll just jump into the techniques. So the first one is have a fixed sleep schedule. Okay, a consistent sleep schedule regulates your internal body clock and promotes better sleep. So what it leads to is it increases your quality of sleep. It also increases your overall physical health as well, and this together will lead to a more fulfillment kind of feeling. All right. So try and fix, a proper schedule where you need this, at this time you need to go to bed, and try and get that consistency in, right? So in the first few days, of course, it will be a little challenging, but once you build that schedule, then it will be a lot more easier, and you will also see a, drastic change in your sleep quality as well. Okay, so this is some, an example of what you can, try and have, right? Okay, number two is you can try and make a relaxing bedtime routine. Okay, so research has suggested that going for warm baths before before bedtime can really help calm your body, calm your mind, right, and bring you to this very relaxing state, which will induce sleep as well. Okay, um, and then maybe reading a book. So reading a book really calms your mind, right? It makes you feel that relaxation, and reduces all of the outside clutter, right? It makes you go into your own small little imaginary world, and then you can just um, feel a little relaxed, and then you can go to bed, right, without having the outside world worry. And then another kind of tool or technique you can try or add in to your bedtime routine is maybe having small quick meditation track to listen to, which will help you relax, help you kind of calm down your tense muscles throughout your body as well, and then that will just create a relaxing effect on you, and then again you will probably get a better chance of better quality sleep. Right? So kind of having a fixed sleep schedule and also building up a nice relaxing bedtime routine can really work wonders for you guys. Okay. Number three is incorporating some form of physical activity in your day, right? So one could be maybe walking. So walking helps organize thoughts and brings about movement as well. Next would be jogging or running, right? So this brings some exhaustion and releases tension and stress, right? So again, if your body feels exhausted, it will go to sleep a lot easier, right? Number three is yoga. So yoga causes physical and mental exertion again, and it also creates a very relaxing and relaxes a bit of your muscles, your body as well. And then even gym, right? Gym utilizes all body parts in various exercises. So maybe incorporating that in your day will also help with not just your sleep quality, but also helps with this reducing your anger, because even gym and some form of physical activity really gets you like good hormones, and these endorphins get released in your body, right, to give you that feel good factor, and it also definitely increases positivity in the day. So that will also help with maintaining your anger levels and also reducing those. Number four is identify triggers for anger. Okay, so recognize the situations that get you angry, right? So recognize the different patterns of how what makes you angry and how you react when you are angry, right? And then manage these situations effectively. So maybe use some form of grounding technique, some breathing exercise, right? Something to just help, some temporary technique to help you just get out of that angry zone and get you to think more rationally at that particular situation. Okay, number five is to try and limit screen time before your bed. Okay, so reduce device usage, maybe at least an hour before your bedtime. Okay, blue light can also disrupt the production of hormones, especially melatonin, that regulates your sleep cycle. So trying to be completely off your devices, like at least an hour or 2 hours before sleep, can really help. And then number 6 is practice deep breathing. Okay. So deep breathing really helps in two ways. Number one, it calms your nervous system. And secondly, that kind of helps with reducing your anger as well. Okay. So, and also some of the benefits of deep breathing is, a healthy heart, it's also anti-aging, it's a good stress relief, it enhances your mood and also increases your energy. So now we're going to do a small deep breathing exercise. Okay. It's essentially a box breathing technique. Okay. So what I would like you guys to do is just sit back or lie down in a comfortable position. If you would like, and if you're comfortable with it, you can close your eyes and just follow the instructions that I say. All right. Okay, guys. So we will now begin, right? Inhale for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then hold or pause for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, guys. So this is essentially called box breathing, and so research and a lot of clients have mentioned that they get that relaxing feeling if they continue this 4-4-4 second breathing for at least 2 minutes or so, or at least 3 to 5 minutes, just to get that cycle, that loop, and also just to get your mind to just relax a little bit and also ground yourself to the reality, right? And get your mind off all of the the clutter and those very exaggerated emotions and negative emotions. Okay. And then our next technique is taking time outs. Okay. So let's say you are feeling really angry at that moment, right? Don't just continue with the task that that you have to do. Try and take a break, right? Take a time out. Go do something maybe that makes you happy, or something that a little positive. So maybe like if you're feeling a little angry, go out for a quick walk, right? Maybe go maybe watch something on Netflix, right? Anything that kind of uplifts your mood, you can try and take a time out and go and do that, right? Just to get that positivity burst. Okay. Number 8, just stop to think, right? Just try and pause when you're angry. Do not react. Just pause. Try changing your thoughts about a situation. Okay, that will also try and change your feelings and actions, right? It will also reduce the exaggerated thoughts, the exaggerated actions that we tend to do when we're angry. Okay, number 9 is challenge negative thoughts. Now, this is essentially where therapy comes in. So, trying to really understand those thoughts and those patterns of, let's say, what makes you angry, why you get angry, how you behave when you're angry, and trying to, a therapist can really help you challenge those negative thought patterns that you may be, having, and try and overall get you a better understanding of your anger and where it's actually coming from. Okay. Number 10, create sleep-friendly environments, right? So make your bedroom a lot more comfortable in terms of, keep it cool in terms of temperature. Keep it, a little dark and, cozy. That will also, once again, help you with, inducing sleep faster. Keep it quiet, right? Keep it peaceful. Do not have very loud noises, maybe like traffic noises. So if, let's say, you're on the main road or something, keep your windows closed so that you can try and reduce that noise pollution, reduce those loud noises. And of course, try and use some comfortable bedding, maybe some nice, relaxing colors as well, so that that can also help you psychologically, induce sleep and keep you relaxed as well. 11 is seek professional help. So this way, seeking professional help can really help you understand your triggers. So a therapist can help you identify your triggers and maybe where you're coming from, and what is the deep rooted trigger that's actually causing this anger, right? Do you have some unresolved issues that you actually have to go ahead and solve first to get you that closure? They'll also help you with a few techniques like I've given you today, like some methods to help you deal with your issue, specifically your unique issue, because everyone has different stems, different roots of their issues. And then finally, of course, assistance as well. So helping you overcome your problems and help you understand your problems a little better in a more clearer version, and also how to get better from it. Okay. So this is generally a summarization of a small checklist of what you can do to try and get better sleep and also reduce your anger levels. Exercise, definitely you can try, right? Try not to nap often, because that way you, falling asleep at night also gets really hard. Do not force yourself to sleep, because that way that will reduce your quality of sleep, right? It will become superficial sleeping. Try and have a healthy diet. Practice a lot of different relaxation techniques to try and understand which works best for you, right? Not all relaxation techniques works for everyone. And finally, take help if you feel it's really needed, right? Okay. So now we've kind of come to the end of the workshop. So just to wrap up, good and adequate sleep is very integral to lead a healthy life, right? Anger and stressful situations often affects our sleep cycle, like we went through. Inadequate sleep then leads to increased irritability. And it is always important to recognize our troubles and work towards our overall well-being and health. Okay, thank you guys. Does anyone have any questions? If you do, you can stay back, or else you are free to leave.
Ma'am, my name is Sonali, and I wanted to ask you how can we get the certificates for
Yeah, you will
participation?
be given a link. So you will be given the details on the chat, in the group, in the WhatsApp group. So then you can follow those instructions and you will get the
Okay,
certificate.
ma'am.
Thank you, Janvi. Thank you for listening.